be tons of emails that we send you to definitely vote for those who are planning to run for the board for this year. Thank you.
Who's that guy up there? It's a legend in his own right.
Now we're going to have Michelle Burke from ANEA say a couple of words. We're going to have each of our sponsors come and introduce themselves.
Hello. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. We're really excited to have you all here. My name is Michelle Burke. I'm the current president of our chapter for ANEA, New York Tri-State. And we have been, I think, a chapter for about, give or take, 7 or 8 years. We cover New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, and Long Island, New York, of course. And really like-minded folks coming together to be engaged about informatics and really the research, mentorship, leadership, and everything that it provides. So we're excited to have this partnership with the HIMSS chapter and to collaborate for this symposium. This is, I think, our third collaboration. So we're really excited to be here. Thank you.
Now we'll have Kim Velez come from ANA New York. Thank you.
So welcome. My name is Kimberly Velez. I'm an informatics nurse at Northwell Health, but I wear many hats. And one of the hats I do wear is I am the secretary for ANA New York. So we are a proud sponsor. We are your voice for any nurses or any healthcare person in the New York State. So we represent you. We support you. There are some swag out there. I represent that informatics voice for them. So I'm always like, where's the technology? Where's the technology? And I actually have a little QR code that's outside. If you would take it to do a survey, we're trying to get, and you don't have to be an ANA New York member or a nurse. We're just trying to gather, what is your impression about technology? How has it been? What's positive? What's negative? And what can we do to fix it? So thank you so much.
And last but not least, we have Olga Kagan from SONCL to give a few words.
Thank you, Elaine. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be here with you all. And I wear multiple hats, one of which is president-elect for the Society of Neuroscientists, Innovators, Entrepreneurs, and Leaders, short for SONCL. And I am the previous board member here at New York's HIMSS chapter, New York State chapter, and past chair of the nursing symposium that Elaine and previously Romina have executed so flawlessly. So thank you very much for continuing to carry the baton. So I just wanted to say that so many of our informaticians are really innovators. And I think having SONCL as a partner from the beginning has been a pleasure, absolute honor to work together, because as nurse informaticists, we're always implementing the latest and the greatest innovations in our systems. And we're hoping that this relation continues as our partners with HIMSS, ANA, that's always there to lobby for us. And of course, make sure that our nurses at the bedside are tech savvy and understand all the things that we need to, skills that we need to have in order to provide quality care. And so thank you so much again for supporting this event. And thank you, Elaine, and the rest of the planning committee and our board members.
Okay, great, thank you. Now we'll bring it over to Kathleen McGrew. And Tony. Tony is going to come say a few words.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody, and welcome, nurses. Thank you very much. What a great support here today again. And I'd like to see this keep going for another 35 years. Okay, can we do that? All right, good. But I did want to say one thing. Our chapter is running a New York Yankee game on June 4th. We'll sit in the 100 sections just past first base for $30. Okay, I already have 35 people signed up already. Right now, there's no limit. So please take a moment, come and join us. It'll be a day of fun. We can relax and have a couple of, no, we can't say that. Okay. Let me turn this back. Have a great day today. I'll be here. You know, don't forget to tip your bartender. Oh, no, sorry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathleen McCrow. It's nice to meet you. Thank you, and welcome to the Microsoft office. We're honored that you're all here. Of course, we really support nurses, as always. I'm honored to introduce Ian Morrison, who's our Director of AI and Data, National Director for AI and Data for Microsoft. You're going to have another Microsoft speaker specific to cybersecurity, but we had to throw a little bit of AI in there for you because, you know, we're all about AI. We're all about chat, Copilot, et cetera. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce Ian, and we'll turn it over to him. Ian's going to be on the lav mic, so I'm going to turn this one off.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathleen. And thank you, everybody. I am thrilled to be here today. Slides. Need a few slides. Well, my name is Ian Morrison. So as Kathleen mentioned, I lead the data and AI business for Microsoft for healthcare payer and provider in the US. So I spend a lot of time talking to people about this evolution of AI that we're seeing, or explosion. In some ways, I like to call it, we're going through a bit of a renaissance right now. Just a couple of years ago, we were introduced to ChatGPT, and instantly we started thinking about all of the possibilities in healthcare. And so I always like to start my conversations with just reflecting on Microsoft's mission to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. And I think this is so special when we think about how we work with our healthcare customers, because in my mind, there is no industry more important. And that word empowerment is so incredibly important. And so, as my friend Kathleen always reminds me, nurses are innovators. There we go. Okay. Nurses are innovators, right? So I can tell you this, when we think about data and AI platforms and tools and capabilities and how Microsoft is showing up in the healthcare space, we think about working very, very closely with the practitioners, right? And for you, that is incredibly important. So I wanted to start just with this slide to show a little bit about some of these emerging examples or applications of where we're seeing AI in healthcare, and specifically in nursing. One of the big focus areas for us over the past couple of years, as we've taken a look at where the AI market is heading, where the technology is heading, and in some of our industry partnerships, like with Epic as an example, we're very, very focused on this concept of burnout and decreasing the burden that all of you face in clinical workflow every day as doctors and nurses and caregivers. Just quick show of hands, you've had a few seconds to look at this slide. Are you already using any of these capabilities in your daily workflow or in your hospitals? Just throw a hand up if some of these look familiar. Okay, that's awesome, right? So we're moving fast, right? And the really cool thing here is that I'm just gonna keep going. All right. We'll go spend some time with my friends over on the other side of the room. The really cool thing is that the innovation is moving so fast, right? And so just a year ago, I think if you thought about AI in clinical practice, there was a tremendous amount of fear, right? We certainly want to do no harm. And some of the initial concepts around AI were maybe a little haphazard. And so the really interesting thing is that the technology has evolved so quickly just in this very, very short period of time that we've been able to form partnerships with the likes of Epic and many, many others, and we've figured out ways to make it much more safe. So we've started obviously with some, I would say, lower risk scenarios, right? The one in the top left was like one of those, where's the Yankees game ticket, right? Like that's a home run. In terms of being able to use generative AI to simply reply to messages, right? That's a really simple use case, typically low risk, and it still puts us with, in this situation where we've got a lot of control over how we interact with the AI, right? And so many of these other capabilities, just at HIMSS actually about a month and a half ago, I guess it was, you saw Microsoft and make some announcements around Dragon Copilot. Right? So this rapid advancement of being able to use natural language speech to document a patient encounter, but then also weave in that generative AI capability to do summarization, to do generation. And you see a lot of these use cases start to spin out of that, right? One of my absolute favorites right now, and somewhere we're spending a lot of time, is prior authorization. And when I say those two words, I usually see like this groan, right? There's an emotional response when we talk about prior authorization, because it really hits a lot of the key problems that we have in healthcare delivery. It's a burden for all of you as caregivers. It puts the patient in the center of this horrible turmoil between payers and providers, and ultimately they're the ones that lose, right? They wait and wait and wait for a decision. Sometimes the decision is a rejection and it needs to be appealed, right? So again, this is just an area where we're seeing this rapid advancement. And the great thing here is that it not only reduces the burden, but it speeds up that ability to have an accurate response right out of the gate, but then also to be able to handle any of the outcomes that go from there. So again, I show you all of this just to really give you the sense for where we're focused as a company when we think about AI in healthcare. Now, today's theme is a little bit around security, and I think security and AI are becoming very much intertwined. And when we think about responsible AI, we think about it in a lot of ways very much like security, in the sense that we have a duty to protect data. We have a duty to do no harm. And we have a duty to raise things up within our organizations to drive innovation and to drive change. So as I think about some of these principles in the context of healthcare providers, really the first thing is this human-centered approach, right? And nowhere is it more evident than in nursing. Like every day, you're thinking about how can I do better for this patient and how can I start to use some of these tools to drive better outcomes. You see there on the sort of second bullet, right? This idea that we're here to bring these tools to augment, to support, not to replace, right? And you look at the media, you see all these crazy claims about creating robotic nurses and things like that, right? And you know, who knows what the future is going to look like? But the reality of the here and now is that we can really simplify workflows and help people do better care delivery through some of these capabilities. The thing that I loved, Olga mentioned in her intro, was this idea of continuous training. This technology in this industry is moving so fast. As a technologist, it's even hard for me to keep up. So I think it's really, really important for every organization to place that readiness front and center, to put innovation into how you do performance management, how you do evaluations, if you're in leadership, right? This concept of like just good enough isn't going to be good enough, right? We have to embrace this, and we have to make sure that folks are educated to embrace these technologies. This idea of interdisciplinary collaboration, I think, is so important too. And I'll just give you a quick example. One of the coolest things I've actually seen in the past year and a half, we were working with one health system, and it was our technologists, right, our architects and some of our technical specialists in AI sitting next to the chief nursing officer, the nurse managers, and actually doing a little bit of a hackathon to come up with an ED to inpatient handoff solution. Now, this is placing people who have spent their entire career in technology next to people who have spent their entire career in nursing and in healthcare. And like magic starts to happen, right? Because that innovation, we're really able to capture it and we can move so fast, right? So within 2 days, we actually had a working prototype of this handoff solution. And then we started vetting it, you know, making sure it was safe and putting all the proper controls in place. So again, like this concept of just bringing people together to form ideas and to drive change is really powerful. And of course, like this one kind of goes without saying, right? You know, just sort of maintaining that adherence to all of your ethical principles, certainly things around accreditation and policies, but then also representing nursing in the organizational AI governance boards and so on and so forth. Okay. And just really quickly, you know, this is how Microsoft thinks about responsible AI as we design AI systems. These are the core principles of everything that we do, whether it's, you know, Microsoft Copilot or Copilot Chat or Dragon Copilot, or some of the things that I'm talking about that we build with our customers. They may be sort of self-explanatory. I think a lot of these are just basic human principles, right? Be nice, be kind, be fair. But also things like privacy and security, making sure that your patient information is not going out to public places to train models, right? That is, an absolute core principle of ours. Certainly things like bias, inclusiveness. I think this is really important when we think about how AI is coming to conclusions or providing recommendations. And there's, everywhere you go, you can look at the stories about bias in data, right? Bias in clinical diagnostics, it's everywhere. So that's always something you really want to think about as you're innovating. Start to answer that question of where's the data coming from? Can we trust the data? Are we sure that the data is unbiased so that ultimately we can trust and be confident in the decisions that are being made? Okay. So I'll just kind of wrap it up with just a basic call to action. Like first, I think it's amazing that you're all here today. I think, I've seen some familiar faces that have been at some of our events in the past. And again, that sort of learning journey. First and foremost, I think it's just so important to speak up, right? To be innovators, to not accept the status quo, right? To really challenge the art of the possible. Because working with over 100, probably 150 health systems across the country, I can tell you there are people sitting still right now. They're not doing anything out of fear, out of uncertainty, out of a lack of knowledge. And that's not serving the health system. It's not serving the patient. And it's really not helping us raise the bar in the industry. So I think, like I said at the top, right? Renaissance is a word I use a lot. Let's attach to that, right? Let's just capture the passion in everybody to innovate and to drive more change. Second, of course, I think is really important to champion responsible use. One of the things we think a lot about is as we start to implement more and more of these AI systems, we talk about human in the loop, right? They should always augment human decision making, but we're all familiar with alert fatigue. And at what point do we just say, okay, we acknowledge the recommendations without really thinking about them, without looking at the citations, without drawing that parallel back to how did the AI make this decision, and just doing that check, right? So again, I would encourage you as you start to see more of these things become present to you in your workflow, right? Like always put that check in the middle, right? You always want to verify. And then lastly, again, just stay informed, stay out of the hype. Try not to form bias, right? Because I think it's really easy sometimes to like dismiss certain ideas or concepts. Stay there. Stand still, I'm sorry. I move around a lot. All good. So yeah, really that's what I wanted to just drive to you today is, thankful that you're here. Love that you're on the journey of education. And Microsoft is certainly proud to partner with you as you innovate for the future. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, there we go. What a great way to start off the symposium, am I right? Thank you, Martin again, who is the National Director